Good every morning. My name is Todd Cochran, and what camera am I looking at? Hey, well, welcome to the Saturday morning tech show. I've got Rob Greenlee on monitor one back here with us, and then one of our guests just had a family emergency. He's got to go to the hospital, and his grandmother's not doing well. So we'll have him on another time. And family comes first always, and the appearance here is this is just a fun show to be on. So Rob, how was your turkey day?
Turkey Day is good.
Did you
Lots of stuffing, lots of turkey, lots of pumpkin pie. So I'm
well
definitely happy.
we had a non-traditional turkey dinner here when my I was getting ready to come back from New Mexico. My wife was like, "Well, what do you want to do? You want to do a full-blown turkey?" She says, "I got one in the freezer, or do you want to do prime rib? You want to do some steaks?" I'm like, "Let's just cook some steaks."
Who
So
needs turkey, right?
yeah, so actually that angle is better with you and the camera. I don't know. We're I'm getting a little glare off this one camera may have to change the angle on it. But yeah, it was kind of nice, kind of nice kickback day, but um I got busy in the afternoon and put up a video because I'd promised some folks that I was going to put out a basically give them my presentation I gave at Blog World. So I've got that recorded and uploaded. I just gotta do the blog post on it. But anyway, it's good to be back in the studio where the new TriCaster is running. From a from this standpoint, you really can't tell too much difference at this point because I haven't enabled all the bells and whistles. But I ordered a green screen yesterday, so the green screen will be in. And I was showing one of the folks on the other show the other day. I was going to say, well, at some point we're going to be able to do a little something like. Let me go ahead and bring this up here real quick. Let me take the overlay down. Do something like this, and
Ooh,
and be able to bring in the green screen. So I was having a little fun with this the other day, and so it's the spacing and everything's not set up yet, and of course the if there was a green screen there, then or it could be like this. Here's a box and box. See,
oh yeah, that's cool.
so there's all kinds of stuff that can be done here. I can put myself up in that window and put you down in that window. So hopefully by the next show, I will have had time to mess with this thing long enough to be able to do some of those cutesy little tricks and stuff. But so what's been happening with you? How you been? It's been a few weeks since we've done one of these. So how you been? Whoops.
I've been actually doing really good. It's been a little slow on this end, as you might imagine with the holidays, but been plugging away. Working on Zune and trying to keep up with all the happenings around tech around, which it pretty much slows down quite a bit this time of the year.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations where there you go. We can see you much better now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those times a year when even today I was getting some articles ready for the show today, and not a super lot going on, but there is some good stuff that's popped here over the last 24 hours or so. But you know, I think that it's actually a good thing that things kind of slow down. At least slows down up until just about. Well, my email box doesn't slow down because about the week before CES, things get. Or actually, two
Oh,
weeks before CES, things start getting nuts, and you already start getting emails. Hey, yeah,
oh yeah, things are gonna really accelerate really quickly. I think once we get past Christmas.
yeah, and I've got a garage full of extra gear. My credit card has been impacted heavily, and a few things are still being delivered. But I'm just about I'm two pieces of gear away from being able to mock everything up on the living room floor and make sure that I have all the connectors, the ins and outs, and this design that I've come up with for the studio in Vegas is going to work. And one thing that I did with this is when I bought this gear, I did it with the understanding that I'll be able to leave this stuff boxed up when it gets back. And if I need to do another junket somewhere, all you do is just load it, and go.
Oh
So,
yeah, that's great.
yeah, so I have a complete portable system minus the box that'll be, have to be pulled out of the rack and loaded, but otherwise than that, it'll be good. Hey, have you heard in the news the about what Homeland Security's doing? Homeland Security's seizing internet domains left and right, and they're actually going through the through not the domain providers, but they're going straight to the internet, and they've been seizing peer-to-peer search sites, and no search warrant, no notice, nothing. They're just going in and seizing them. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, yeah, I had actually heard about that, and I think this is something that the government's wanted to do for a long time. But it's really interesting how they're going after the peer-to-peer sites, which tells me that there's something going on with the whole copyright thing, and the whole movie studios are really putting a lot of pressure on the government to really shut this down.
Yeah, I don't honestly, I don't know how they're doing it legally, how they can seize, because there was supposed to be some laws put into effect, but the people are questioning their right to seize these things without any type of paperwork. I just I'm sure there's got to be some back end paperwork somewhere for this, isn't there?
You would think so, but you do have to wonder, with all the things going on with the searches and the pat downs in the airports, that there's definitely some crackdown happening right now, and it definitely involves our civil rights more and more. It seems like we're slipping down that slippery slope.
Yeah, I be honest with you, I don't really get how they're legally doing it, but and a lot of people are asking that same exact question. Now, the appeals court over in Sweden, they basically still say that the admins of the Pirate Bay are still guilty, and they've imposed higher fines on those folks. It looks like $4.26 million is the fine. I don't know if that's individually, but think before it was about $1 million each. So it's oh, wait a minute, let me see here. It's I'm reading here. Oh, no, 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 their fine has been bumped to 6.5 million. It was 4.2. They get to get out of jail a little early, but I don't know what that means. I know they haven't been in jail, but I wonder if that means they have to surrender now and do their 1 year in prison. But I guess but it's all that work, and the Pirate Bay still, it lives on. It hasn't changed, and there's nothing that's, um, nothing that's changed over there. So only time will tell, I guess.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The one thing I was also noticing today, there's a big news item about Verizon breaking, or actually blocking OpenDNS. And I don't know if this is just something that's temporary or just happened, or if it's a config file on some router somewhere. But people are all up in arms this morning over OpenDNS being blocked, and they're asking the FCC to act on network neutrality. And we probably could spend some time on that this morning because there's been a lot of stuff just kind of under the radar talking about network neutrality. Have you ever used OpenDNS, Rob?
No, I have not, but I think it's really interesting. Why would Verizon be concerned about Open DNS?
Well, that's probably a question that we're all at this point asking as well. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're worried about it, but obviously they are. But you know, basically the folks over at the FCC um, have been talking about uh, coming out with a net neutrality ruling, and the rumor is that they are going to wait until December 22nd to actually have their meeting where they release that document as a way to let the impact of the holidays um, subside the fear of the Verizons and the AT&Ts of the world. So that's the rumor. But over in the UK, they basically very publicly said, Net neutrality. We're not going to put any net neutrality rules out. You can filter content as you please. You don't have to just tell us. Let us know if you're doing packet shaping and all this stuff. So in the UK, they are at the point now where there's no such thing as net neutrality. So I don't know if it's how that's going to affect us here. But do you think the folks in the UK are going to be negatively impacted?
I don't know. I think we're going to have to see how that pans out, but it's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, and of course with us, well, let me switch back. With us, I everyone's still really worried about what's what the impact's going to be to our internet services if the FCC doesn't act. I think the companies have been too scared at this point to do too much because they know people are watching the network in a big way, and for a certain segment, I think they are probably just holding their breath and waiting and hoping they can do some sort of packet shaping, but at the same time, they know that they really can't because they're going to get blasted if they do. I just heard a beep. Was that you or was that me? I was expecting potentially someone else to come in for a little bit. I think
Yeah,
that.
I think it was me.
Oh, okay. So no big
Hey,
deal.
hey, Todd, I need to hop up really quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, sure.
Hang on here.
Yep. Well, all right. So Rob's gone for just a second. This camera view isn't too. You can see Rob better on that camera than you can on this camera. Actually, you can see it good when it's like that. I have to still trying to get this. I thought you had. What did you have? Rob, that was either the fastest bathroom run in the world or.
No, actually, the honest to God truth was is I let my cat out the front door
Yeah.
and and left the door ajar, and he pushed his way back in, pushed the door wide open,
Oh, that's funny.
and I was freezing to death.
Oh man. I've been doing this. I've done. After doing 600 some shows and doing the show no the show now live.
Yeah,
Every once in a while, you get an hour in and you're like, oh boy, I need to wrap this thing up pretty quick.
there's a natural emergency happening.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You shorten the time up on the show. So I was
Yeah.
actually trying to see if I could get you seen better. I have this ability with this new system to change the LUT here. Let me see if that doesn't help at all. I'm trying
Well, here,
to. You're washed out is what's going on with you, with your.
let me kind of lower my light.
Yeah, you're. That's a little better. Yeah, we're gonna have to get. We have to. And it's all about my camera position is what it's all
Oh, is
about.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so I don't know what's going to happen with this net neutrality stuff. I think only time will tell for sure, and we'll see what the FCC comes out with. I know they're going to have some big pushback from all the major companies if they come out with rules. They've already kind of got their hands slapped once before on this, but they say they're going to continue on no matter what. I didn't ask you at the beginning of the show, but did you go out and did you hit the masses yesterday during the shopping day?
Actually, I waited till later in the evening to actually go out, so I figured that the crowds would be a lot less. And then I went to Fry's Electronics and just went to one other store. I had to actually grab a new web camera, so which is what I'm using right now. So I went to Fry's to get that. It's a Logitech 510,
Yeah.
and yeah, because my other one, that I was using before it was a Microsoft HD Cinema camera. I just couldn't get to work on a consistent basis here, as you probably could tell from the last time I was on.
We basically agreed that we were not going to be going out, and about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my wife said, we could go out now. It's a little later in the afternoon. And I'm like, where do you want to go? And So I actually had one spot that I needed to go to, and it was one of these places that didn't have, big sale items. And actually, what I needed to go to is a music shop to pick up one of those Furman power conditioners. And
Oh yeah.
so I said, "Oh yeah, honey, we can go." And she really what it was is my son just had his birthday last week, and he had not. We were going to get him a new cell phone, and or his first cell phone. He turned 13, and his sister and brother had been sharing one, so he had the one that he wanted picked out, and I really hadn't paid too much attention to it. So we got over to the Verizon store. Actually, not Verizon. We got over to the T-Mobile store, and he takes me right to the smartphone section. And I'm like, wasn't you? Are you planning? Are you gonna plan on paying for the data plan on this, youngin? And
Dropping a
he's
little
like,
hint on you there, huh?
yeah, he's like, Dad, this you can do all kinds of stuff without the data plan. And I'm like, you can if you're on Wi-Fi. I said, is the phone Wi-Fi capable? So she pulled the box out and flipped because I hadn't looked, to be honest with you. And she pulled the box out. She goes, no, it's not Wi-Fi capable. So then I'm like, okay, so what is your cheapest smartphone? And it was a Droid HTC that was Wi-Fi capable. And so we looked at that, and then trying to decide whether or not we're gonna, redo a 2-year contract. Here in Hawaii, we've got the high speed. They've upgraded the network to what they call H or whatever it is that shows up on the phones. And he, so he's probably going to go with a smartphone, but it was outside of the price range that we had set for, the maximum spend for a birthday thing, partially birthday and Christmas because it's a pretty big purchase. But anyway, we're
Sure.
probably the one store that we were at was not a T-Mobile corporate store, so the prices on the phones buying them outright were higher than it would be if we went to an actual company store. So we'll probably go to a company store tomorrow, and I'll get him the phone and buy it outright. Then that's the key. If you buy it outright, you don't have to have the data plan. But if you buy it on a 2-year contract, you have to. They force you to buy the data plan with it.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but
Yeah, so I
that.
went out and got the Windows Phone 7. It's the Samsung Focus. So I've been actually
Oh
using
yeah.
that for a couple weeks now.
Give me a second. Why don't you tell folks about how your experience has been with the Windows Phone, and I'm going to make a camera adjustment. So tell them about your Windows Phone 7, how it's been so far.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to keep in context what I came from. I was actually using a Fuse. It was an HTC Fuse that was running Windows 6.1, and going to the Windows Phone 7 with the Focus has been a huge change and a huge kind of step up. It's the larger screen. I mean that screen is like twice the size. Um, so you can actually do a lot more, with the phone. And then the actual tiles themselves, that you touch to go into different functions of the phone is really convenient. I mean, I can personalize my front screen, or I can get to everything that I need to get to really quickly,
Right.
and see all my email accounts. Go right into my Facebook or Twitter app, and don't have to monkey around with much of anything. I can go into 2 different web browsers, so I can really set all sorts of bookmarks and get to things very, very quickly with that phone. And I mean, honestly, it's just been a joy to use. And that's also now my primary podcast player now too. So it has all that capability built into it, and it's really been working out well.
Well, of course, we're in there, and my wife she sees the Galaxy, Samsung
Sure.
Galaxy, and she gets her hands on that and plays with that for a while. And so it could end up being expensive Sunday before we get all done. But she did get her hands on the Windows Phone 7 too, and she was playing with that for a while. And we looked at it, and she actually was pretty impressed with that one as well. So who knows? Maybe we'll have one of those in the family here soon. I don't know.
There's lots of choices out there now, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a huge number of choices out there. It's pretty
Yep.
amazing. but they're saying there was an article over in Japan about Dokomoko, who does not have the iPhone, and how they are really pushing the Droid and the Windows Phone 7 and other, all these other smartphones that besides the iPhone. And to be honest with you, looking at the news on how many developers that Windows says they have now, and then you look at the app count in Droid as well, I think it speaks well that there's going to be a three-way competition here, and it may take a little bit for the Windows Phone 7 to gain some momentum, but if they've got as many developers developing as they say they do, then we could be in for an app frenzy on the Windows Phone 7 as well.
Yeah, and I think it's a you know this whole smartphone area is that's kind of a marathon run. It's not a sprint. I think a lot of people think that what's happening in the phone space right now is it's done. It's the iPhone, it's Android, it's you know and that's just what it's going to be for the future. I think that there's a lot of room for a lot of new players to come in and move up very quickly. I think it's a really good example of what happened with Android, how quickly they moved up. I mean, it took only a year and a half or something like that, and they overtook the iPhone and those kind of things. Because it's not really fair to compare the iPhone against the Android platform because the iPhone's only been on one carrier really here in the U.S. So it'll be interesting once the iPhone makes it across to all the carriers, or at least a couple different carriers. Then it will be more of a true comparison to see how all of these platforms do. But they all seem to be moving to that next level of really good functionality, easy to use, good app stores. So I think that it's all good for users to have this kind of selection and offering of really good quality. I think mobile operating systems, and all I can say is that the hardware is just amazing. What's being made now?
Yeah, and it's only going to get better in time.
Ooh,
That's for sure. The
Todd,
yeah, go ahead.
Todd, that was impressive. That little fly-in that you did.
Oh, did you like the fly in? We can actually change how the here we'll do a different. We'll fly you out. So here we go. Flew you in a different way. We flew you in
Ooh,
sideways.
ooh.
I had that with the other system, but it had not implemented that yet. There's actually a way too with this new system where I can hook um, lower thirds to a camera, so that when I fly you in, it'll actually switch. But I obviously haven't got that figured out yet. So get that figured out here as I'm using the system more. Hey, there's a good article over on Dave Weiner's website. Yeah, I can almost. Did I actually just say that? Good article. um,
What's wrong with you?
he's saying WordPress.com is broke for podcasting. He is not happy. He said this is a heads up to people who subscribe to the podcast. There's a problem with the feed that will cause some subscribers to not get every episode. He said
Huh.
it could be a majority of subscribers not getting any episodes, depending on how their clients are programmed. He says technically the problem appears to be caching. After a post is published, it builds the page and caches the HTML. Somehow this is done before it realizes there's an MP3 attached. Eventually the cache feed expires, it rebuilds the feed, and now the MP3 is linked in as an enclosure. How long before this happens and how many clients have read the post and stored the GeoID and assume there's no MP3 is unknown. So he's not real happy. We've always said that there's been major issues at WordPress.com in supporting new media, and this, not only that, but the feeds are not 100% iTunes ready. What are you seeing on WordPress.com feeds on your end, since you're dealing with feeds all the time?
I don't actually see feeds really ever coming out of WordPress.com. I mean to be really frank with you, I just don't see them.
Is it?
So
Yeah,
yeah, so that really tells you right there that most podcasters aren't even considering it.
yeah, they're using the actual WordPress client, which of course, completely supports and through either our plugin or others.
That's it. Thanks to you and
Yeah.
your company. Yeah.
The so it's we would boy, I tell you we had hoped that WordPress would make our plugin available for their system, but they never have. And
Huh.
but it's just actually for the WordPress.com users, and also they could fix this by going to allowing the users to have static feeds as well. But that is template obviously not the case, and they're not allowing people to have static feeds over there. There is a I was getting bombarded. Did you how many emails did you get on sales, Rob? Did you get probably 50, 60 emails on sales that
Oh
were
yeah.
happening?
Yeah. I'm constantly getting, you know, solicitations in my email from all sorts of companies trying to push stuff. I think I got on way too many mailing lists.
Yeah, I did too. But I thought the onslaught was over. But they're saying that I thought Cyber Monday turned into Black Friday. Really that's kind of was one and the same. But they're saying that Cyber Monday deals are going to be more aggressive and widespread. This is according to the LA Times. They say that the deals that you were basically landed in your inbox on Friday was only just the beginning, and that they plan on giving you even better offers come Monday. So I would expect probably then Saturday and Sunday or actually today and tomorrow our emails, the emails to be flowing heavily again. I haven't seen anything this morning, so maybe they're all waiting till a certain hour of the day to do that.
Yeah, I would think they'll probably wait till Sunday to send all their emails out to get people thinking about it as they go into work.
And shop
Yeah.
on work on Monday. No work's going to get
Yeah.
done in the United States on Monday
Yeah.
because everyone's actually going to shop now. In the chat room, Miss Small Biz says Cyber Monday deals are online, thus lower the cost, so that the offers. So that's the offers to look for. That's true. But everything I saw on Friday was the websites were all on, Black Friday and everything else. And be honest with you, I sit down with the big thick newspaper that came and went through the ads, and I was a little underwhelmed. Of course, I'm gadget rich right now. I have all the gadgets I need. I don't really need any computers but if you are definitely needing a PC, I think I saw 199 price tags on some computers, and it was crazy. But
Yeah.
you know,
No, I mean, what was really amazing to me was the price of the netbooks. Those things were just getting down there like 150, $160 for a regular, full featured netbook, and it's like, wow. I mean, those prices are really dropped, and it seems like that the lower end laptops are starting to more and more be sold at what the netbook prices used to be.
right?
In that $300, $299 range.
Yep.
I mean, you get a really decent laptop now for $299 now.
Let's slide us. You like that one? Did you see that re-slide in? I slid you in sideways that time.
That's the real reason that you bought this higher end box, right?
No, actually, it
It's like,
isn't. But what's kind of cool is right now I'm on a 1080i. That's what's being pushed out at 16.9. It's a 1080. So really, I'm not pushing HD level stream yet. So I'm still pushing a stream that is, the box is much smaller, but it's in being recorded at 1080i. Then I can bring you in at 480 and or in SD mode, and it's fine. It doesn't choke on it. So I can intermix SD and HD signals in the system, which is pretty cool.
yeah, that is. That's great.
It took as long as it took to get here.
Yeah, you did have to wait. What was it,
Yeah,
like 6 months or something like
I
that?
waited 105 days from the day they
Okay,
cashed my check.
so about 3 months then. Yeah.
Yeah, the I'd love to push the HD stream, but I have to have a full meg up in order to support that. Right now, I'm pushing about 512 KBS up, so it's holding. We'll just keep increasing and see at what point we can. And I don't know even know if Ustream or these other services will be able to um, support the full HD stuff. Only time will tell. Hey, I got one for you. You probably won't want to comment on, being your position over there at Zune, but a judge is saying no fair use for jailbreaking Xboxes. The law doesn't care if you jailbreak iPhones, but no fair use for jailbreaking an Xbox. Now, why do you think the judge came down and said that you can jailbreak an iPhone, that's legal, but jailbreaking your Xbox is illegal? What's the difference?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I mean, unless there's more higher end, uh, videos, movies, that kind of stuff that could be in jeopardy or something. I can't imagine, or game code or whatever. I'm not really sure why it would be any different. But yeah, I also, on a similar note, I did see that, in the tech meme that there was, I guess, a a jailbreak of the Windows Phone 7 platform too. I
Right.
heard.
And I know that Windows said, okay, you understand doing this, you may brick your phone. And then I noticed that there was a response by the folks that said, hey, we're just trying to jailbreak the phone. We're not trying to, cause anybody any trouble. So there's been some back and forth, and I guess it was to be expected,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that was going to happen. The hang on a second, Chris, Chris,
But
Chris.
yet at the same time, I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of the companies don't want to really see this happen because it can it can really possibly compromise the product itself.
right, right.
And that's what it really comes down to is the company wanting to offer, support to the platform, and if it's been broken, then it really makes it hard to help customers fix problems too. So, there's benefits and there's trade-offs for doing this stuff. So, I mean, as long as everybody realizes that.
The Miss Smallbiz says in the chat that one of the reasons why you had to hack physical chips using a card, which what violated the DMCA versus doing it with software, and maybe that was the differentiating factor between the two rulings. And
Yeah.
someone's watching the Michigan Ohio game, and I guess Michigan quarterback just fumbled. I'm a Michigan State fan, so the more Michigan fumbles, it's okay with me. So is
Play by play on the
uh
stream today, huh?
yeah. So I'm multitasking here. You're gonna have to wait, Chris, until after I get done. I'll talk to you in a little bit. He's just
But
bringing
yeah,
in.
I'm not
Yeah.
really buying any tech this year. I mean, I think this little webcam that I bought is about the only thing I'm going to buy this year.
Yeah, I don't as much money as I had to spend to get ready for CES, and no, I'm definitely have uh probably overspent this year. So we spent, the credit card, the company credit card will be getting paid off into the first quarter of 2011. So
Yeah, I just have too many computers, too much audio equipment, and I mean, I'm just not using it yet. So I mean, that's where I need to put my energies is to get my own podcast going again and try and get all this equipment that I have laying around back into use again in some way. So that's what I'm working on right now.
well, I've got one, two, three LCD monitors that believe it or not, I'm putting up on probably on Craigslist. I got to get rid of some monitors because I had to upgrade to some monitors that would do 1080i, and a couple of these were older that didn't would not do that. So they're perfectly good monitors. And even if I don't get a bite from them on Craigslist, I'll donate them to the school or something. And they just got to get out of here. But they're good monitors that serve someone well. But monitors are so cheap; it's hard to sell, a monitor these days online. And what, are you going to get $20 for it, or
Yeah. Yeah, it's really hardly worth all the effort it takes to try and sell one, right?
yeah? So did you fly anywhere during the holidays, or did you just stay there in the Seattle area?
Yeah, we just stayed here. We didn't go anywhere. Frankly, we got snowed in here.
Really?
So so yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
jeez.
actually most of last week I actually worked from home because there was so much snow and frozen roads that I couldn't even get out of my house.
Did so you didn't get a chance to get your junk touched, huh? At TSA.
No, 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 I didn't get groped this holiday season. No.
Well, I've had the opportunity of being able to get groped twice. I before this became a hoorah, before every news coverage outlet was talking about it, and where everyone was getting their webcams out, I opted out well over a month ago. And what really drove me to it was here in Honolulu they just added the machines, and I got stuck in the line. Of course, I tried to push myself into a line that didn't have one of those, but I got stuck in a line that had one. And I just made the decision at that point, as many segments as I fly a year. I think I had 152 segments so far this year, and I have one small trip left to LA or San Diego next couple weeks from now. I just decided that I did not, even if it was a little bit of radiation, and that's 150 exposures too many. And the um, I've read some alternative literature from some different folks that are questioning the certification on these things. They say they're certified, but yet you can't find nothing on their websites. And so
Mm.
I just
Sure.
opted to go ahead and get the pat down. And um, what if for me the pat down was not not super violating, and I didn't really care one way or the other. I'd be pissed if I was the TSA guy having to give all the pat downs. But the question I asked the TSA rep that was standing right next to the machine, I go, they make you walk in the machine. I said, I don't want to be scanned. I'd rather be, go to the pat down, and they take you out. And of course, this guy's standing right next to the machine, and I'm asking him, do you guys wear one of those dosimeters? One of those radiation things? And he looks at me kind of funny, and I'm like, you're standing beside a machine all day long running people through this, hundreds of scans. And I said, you're a foot away from this thing, or 2 feet away. Do you worry about the, getting, backscattered? And he said, no, I feel safe, but
Yeah, I don't think he is.
what do they do when you get a chest X-ray? They go stand behind a lead wall, right? A wall with a lead partition,
Yeah.
or they go to another room.
Yeah.
Even if this thing gives out less radiation than a cell phone, that's what they're saying, supposedly. I would really have to question, TSA's, their, like, what happens if these guys all of a sudden start getting brain tumors in 5 years? And, um, yeah, you just don't know.
No, you don't. Well, and also this week in the news, it came up saying that Wi-Fi was killing trees, which I thought, it's
Yeah.
another example of radiation, having impacts. I mean, I just, I mean, you have to think, well, what is that Wi-Fi doing to us as humans if we're living in the house with the Wi-Fi around us at all times? If the trees on the outside are impacted by it,
Well,
I don't.
my whole life I've worked with the RF, and that was, one of my as when I was in the Navy, that was my specialty, was anything that is associated with the RF frequency spectrum. And we had obviously when you're dealing with radar, you're dealing with a known quantity of power coming out of the front end of a feed horn, and what the radiation level is, and what the standoffs. We had systems that had 250, 300 feet standoffs when you were active on the ground. Then we had other systems that were, color weather radar type of systems that maybe your safety range would be 30 feet. But there was definitely standoffs for all of these items. And be honest with you, anytime that they had the cones out and they were actively testing a system on the ground, whether it be an aircraft or ship or something like that, people wanted to be in buildings and away from these things, um, for the um, for the safety purposes. Now, I know what article you're talking about, Rob, with this Dutch study, and let me see if I can actually bring it up because I talked about it on my last show out in New Mexico, and what they're actually seeing on the trees, if I remember correctly from the article, was that they are seeing leaves, the structure of the leaves. Let me see. Wi-Fi is killing trees. There we go. Let me load
Yeah,
this.
I thought it was bark. Was being
This article was
was
on
yeah.
CNET, and it talks about the tree loving folks at Dutch City Alpen and Den Orang commissioned a study whose results have not yet been published after finding abnormalities on trees that couldn't be explained by known viral or bacterial infections. Over the last 5 years, the study found that oh boy, some form of Decidus, Decidous trees in the Western world are affected by radiation from mobile phone networks and wireless LANs. Um, they're not killing the trees. Let me
Yeah,
go.
yeah, it's not killing the
Yeah, it's just
trees.
like causing a deformation of the. Yeah, someone said in the chat phone they're going to be linking to global Wi-Fi, linking to global warming here before it's over. Um,
Well, yeah, and they've also been saying that Wi-Fi and cellular radiation had something to do with the decline of bees too. So I've been hearing that.
Oh, so that's the next thing that they're gonna get us on, right? So okay, we're killing the bees too, probably causing that fungal problem they're having with that are killing beehives. So yeah, who knows? But we're all guilty of killing the planet. If you drive a
We are.
vehicle, we're all death mongers. So, but it's about the radiation stuff and going back to the TSA stuff. Um, I'm gonna. It's not because I don't want to do any public defiance. It's not that I'm going to refuse getting scanned. That's not. I mean, getting patted down. I'm not going to be so stupid as to do that. But I am definitely going to have to let the man touch my junk because I'm not going to go through these scanners. Um, I just won't. It's too for me. There's too many unknowns at this point, but only time will tell. Now go ahead.
I was just I was just gonna say, there's a lot of people teasing online about, so can we pick an attractive woman to do the pat down? So it's like, there's a lot of
Right.
people that are kind of making fun of this and going down the down in the gutter on this topic. Um, you know, also saying that they want to go in there and get a pat down so they can get, yeah. Anyway, it's just it's been funny to watch the conversation about this. I mean, a lot of the Hollywood types are all excited about going in and getting
Yeah.
massages and getting pat. It's been funny to watch.
Now, my mom got an email. It was one of these mass emails that were sent around to somebody. It was one of these list emails, and basically, it was a comedy piece, basically talking about they need to bring in like 200,000 ton solid steel reinforced scanners. That basically, when you walk into them, it closes the door, and then if you do have any explosives on you, it gives you the right frequencies and everything to detonate what you may be carrying, and then you basically you contain the mess right there within the scanner. So I thought that was a cute little email that was going around. But yeah,
Yeah.
more absurd, more.
I don't know about the detonation part.
Yeah. Hey, let's get back on track here. Hey, Samsung is supposedly considering to integrate Google TV, and the announcement's supposed to come in January. Now, I find this based on information that I had been led to believe that Samsung was going alone and having their own app platform, and not going to be getting in bed with Google. Um, but it's rumored that they're going to be integrating Google TV into their televisions. What say you? Any thoughts?
Hmm. I don't know. There's been a lot of people that have felt that whole platform, the Google TV platform, isn't really up to the game that they're trying to play here. But I know I'm on the competitive side of things here,
Right.
a little bit on this, but yeah, there's just been a lot of reviewers that have said that the experience of using this isn't really all that great. So I'm a little bit surprised that there's more TV producers that are willing to add this thing, before a next generation of it comes out. Um, but that could be what they're talking about here is maybe Google has a second version of this thing that's coming out.
Well, I've got a still cellophane wrap boxy box that
Uh,
arrived. I haven't
yeah,
installed it
yeah.
yet, and largely because I'm gonna have to make some room on the entertainment console to put it on. But I haven't opted to buy the uh, the Google TV either at this point. Been kind of sitting on the fence. Largely because they did not open up the API, and that I think that's doomed them. I think their strategy of having a few partners in the beginning that they gave exclusive access to this thing, thinking that they were going to get a big jump in the amount of traffic to their websites, and they can make a little money for it because they probably paid for that exclusivity to be on during launch date. I think killed them. I think if they, in retrospect, they probably should have opened up the API, months ago and allowed companies like mine to have built apps and had been ready for the launch so that, when the majors, I don't know how they didn't know this was coming. They had to have been talking to all of these, all these networks. They had to know that this was forthcoming, that they were going to get blocked. So then there would have been at least some real alternatives for people to be able to, use use a device. But as it is now, the API is still not public. They're saying first quarter, actually, January, February, March time frame before they're going to release that. And
Mm.
obviously, I'm going to be all over the development as soon as we can do something. But I think that's where they blew it. I think that's where it's where they made their mistake. And quite honestly, going back to the Windows platform, really kind of wish that platform would be a little bit more open too. But I understand that Microsoft has got stockholders to keep happy, and Google does too, to a certain extent. But yeah, it's only a matter of time before we all have our way with you guys.
Yeah, it does seem like that the TV experience is moving more and more towards an app experience. Um, so in a lot of ways, it's like an a la carte kind of thing, and it makes me wonder if that's really where the next revolution is going to come is around apps on your TV and really I think on the TV it would be like media apps more than it would be, it's not like you're going to
Right.
have you know all the same kind of apps that you would on your mobile phone, but it seems like that apps may be a way for media companies to sell content to users that want that specific content, versus buying, your cable connection where you're getting hundreds and hundreds of channels, right, that you never watch,
Right.
right? So it seems like that may be what's going on here, and then those same apps can be used across other types of devices too for, you know, I mean, for media. So if you think about what we see today with podcasts, and this is stuff I'm thinking about too, is how does podcast transition in that type of world? Is it just podcasts get folded into apps? Is that where this is going over the long run? And so what do you think, Todd?
Well, it's funny that you say that because let me actually bring up an article that was on Register, and I think this is going to affect. Let me bring this up on the page. Over at the register.co.uk, Apple bars all single station radio apps from the iPhone. So Apple is
Uh-huh.
now barring single station radio applications for iPhone and iPhone, insisting that single station apps are the same as fart apps that represent spam in iTunes. So basically, what Apple is saying here, and this is how I think it's going to negatively impact the podcasting space. My competitor has built a big business on, putting cookie cutter apps together for content creators or podcasters and putting these
Yeah.
out. So if Apple is barring all single station radio apps that basically are the same app with just different labels on them, I can't imagine that what's going to happen is that podcast apps are probably going to be lumped into the same. I can't imagine them not being lumped into the same category, which is obviously going to have a negative impact on them, and it's going to hurt a lot of people. But they're saying they want apps. Apple is saying they want apps that are multi-channel. In other words,
Oh,
when you go
okay.
to it, you can find a whole list of channels, and that's obviously the route that we have went down, and that's
Yeah.
it's where we put our money on the table. So if Apple is going to lock stations out, the thing that we've run into is when we talk to the folks at Roku and say, okay, how many, we're not going to put out a channel on the Roku or on Samsung and Vudu. We're going to talk about, someone's asking about Vudu. We're not going to put out um, a app for a single property unless they're big like Leo Laporte, because Leo can
Yeah.
demand the type of numbers that would justify putting in a single channel or single property into an app. Now, really, Leo's Twit app has multiple channels in it. It has
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got lots of different shows that
yeah,
are
lots
putting
of
out.
different shows. So it's not like it's just Leo's show. It's multiple shows within there. So we really we know what that hotspot number is. I'm not going to really talk about that what that number is, but the um I think what you're going to end up finding is a lot of apps that are very focused on specific content types. Um and that's where people are going to, you're going to have pediatricians cluster to a medical show. You're going to have people interested that are in travel, focus in on a travel app. That's going to give them a wide variety of content. So with Apple barring the single station apps in for radio, what does this do to, who knows what this is going to do to our competitors' business? If they haven't come out and specifically said new media yet or podcasting yet, but
Well, it's probably good for podcasters, smaller podcasters that aren't a part of a particular network to
right,
a certain extent, because then you don't have this kind of split in your audience, from the podcasting side, the older podcasting side to
right,
this app model, which which I'm not sure, making an app for one show is necessarily. I don't know if that's necessarily a good model or not. I mean, I'm a firm believer in, some sort of, of bringing together shows and offering more of an aggregation. I think that there's just more value there for
yeah,
the user versus, like one show. So it's like, the Geek News Central show has its own app, right? I mean, unless you're a multi content provider, right?
right,
I mean, really, your show is probably a little bit of an exception because you've got blog content that you could feed into this app. You've
yeah,
got other shows. You got this show. You've got, there's multiple media kind of content that could
yeah,
be made available through that app. But if you only have an audio show,
yeah.
you probably don't need an app, right?
No, I and it's cool to say I have an app, but it's also at the same point. My app's still in development. It's been in development for a year, and it's hopefully gets wrapped up here soon. But
Yeah,
the for it hasn't hurt me, not to have an app in the app store,
sure.
because people are consuming the content in a very myriad of ways. And I have too many apps on my doggone iPhone already, and some of them I barely ever use. So the question is, okay, someone, they pay 99 cents or whatever it is for the app, they download it. Um, how often are they going to use it? But then again, if you have an app that has all of your station, all the content that you like to consume, where you can actually program it so it has, 8, 9, 10, 15 shows or whatever it may be, then there's value there.
Yeah, yeah, no, most
Yeah.
definitely. And I think on my phone now, I think maybe I have probably a total of maybe about 6 apps that I'm running on my Windows Phone 7 device so far, and I've only had it for since a couple weeks now. So, um,
I
and actually, I don't see myself running a lot of apps on that phone. I'm very specific on what I use my phone for,
Yep.
and I've downloaded some stupid apps like a flashlight app and
Yep.
things like that, that I can use to light up the hallway when I'm walking down if it's if all the lights are turned off or something like that. And it's got a large enough screen where just turning the screen white
Yep.
creates a lot of light. And I kind of consider that to be a kind of a dumb app, but it's
Yeah.
one that's useful. But it's not like I'm going to get like 100 of those or something.
I use a handful of apps every day, and then there's some apps that I use on a periodic basis, and then I use a Twitter app, and I use Foursquare, I use um, the Amazon app. There's just a number of Red Laser I use. There's a number that I use every day, but again, it's then I have stuff when I'm flying. There's stuff for checking flights and stuff like that. But other than that, you know, so we'll see. We'll see with Apple barring all single station radio apps, how this is, if there's any more trickle down from there. Now, someone was saying in the chat that someone like Rush, well, Rush is big. Rush could have his own app, and he is an entity. He's not a radio station. So that's who Apple's been banning is radio stations that have their own single apps. Someone was also asking about Voodoo and not being able to find Voodoo and what has happened with Voodoo. And let me actually bring up a page here. Let me bring that down. Voodoo was bought, as you know, by Walmart, and so now they just made an announcement. Voodoo is available on Sony PlayStation 3. It's also available in LCD TVs that you buy from LG, Sharp, Toshiba, Mitsubishi, Vizio, Sanyo, and Samsung. Um, we have a Voodoo app ready to go. We actually have uh, channel app ready when they open their channel store, and we've been done with that for 2 months. So we're just waiting for them to open up their store, and there's a number of us on there. So we're kind of anxious. I don't know if they're waiting to CES to open that up or what they're trying to do, but if you went into Walmart and you had picked up an LCD TV from any of those manufacturers, you probably have been able to. You probably have gotten one of these from the folks at. You've got Voodoo probably loaded in this one of those TVs, so Voodoo's still around. Um,
Yeah, and from what I understand, they've got a pretty large movie library.
yeah, they've got a
It's not
huge
bad
movie library.
service. Yeah.
One Miss Small Biz was saying, I have a podcast app, but I also have the No Agenda Show app. It's my phone, it's my choice. What right does a third party have in saying what I run? Basically, what right they have is they are a walled garden, and they choose what they're going to allow to have on the app store. It's their choice. It's their privilege to be able to say no. We don't think this line of apps should be here, and they ban them. That's what they've done that. So that's the price you pay and living in a closed hierarchy. So maybe that's why folks will need an Android.
So also last week a podcast app came out for the Windows Phone 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who put
What's
who put that out?
That's actually I'm trying to find out actually, because what's really interesting is that it's using the Zune it's using the Zune APIs. So I'm
Oh,
not quite sure who. I think it was somebody inside Microsoft that built this thing.
how is it?
Um,
Is it pretty good?
yeah, it's actually good. It only does streaming of the podcasts,
Uh huh.
which I thought was interesting. There's no subscription capability. but it does give full access to the Zune catalog.
Nice.
So it's not a Microsoft sanctioned app, which I thought was really interesting that was coming out.
It's that streaming is all good till you get on the airplane. They say shut off airplane mode.
Yeah, well, and a lot of other kind of areas too. I mean, there's still going to be dead spots where you're not going to be able to get a reliable stream. I mean, even in the faster networks we have today,
Right.
it's not a perfect world. So there's still going to be an advantage to downloading content like that if you're wanting to play it on a portable device.
Yep. Going back to Voodoo, someone says, I want a Voodoo box. I don't need another Blu-ray player. I think the only way you're going to get Voodoo now is in a device.
Yeah.
And it's actually cheaper. You know, you say you don't. Hang on a second. Hello. Looks like a little argument going on in the background. The prior box was $300, and you can get Voodoo on a Vizio VBR 120 for $99. So, you know, you just stack two Blu-ray players on top of one another, and $99 versus $300. That makes me happy any day of the week. So available on Amazon too. All right, let me go through my list here, and we've kind of jumped all over the place today. And
yeah, we have.
Let's see what else I had stacked up here. One thing that this is really changing gears here. Earlier this year, my wife broke my point and shoot Canon. Actually, didn't break it; it got stole out of our car. And so I've been without. We've only had one point and shoot and then one full body DSLR in the house. So I've been using the full body up to this point. But I have been back in the market to buy another point and shoot, and looking at the deals and looking for something that would really break out. And I like this Canon PowerShot S95. It's a pretty nice camera. And but as I'm looking at features, they all are about the same these days. And there's not really much delta to them. But, I'm wondering why. Why is it that the camera providers or the point and shoot camera guys have not built in Wi-Fi yet and started adding features that will allow us to upload pictures, via Wi-Fi or send stuff to Flickr or wherever we want to go? Why is that lag so far behind? Because, I've got a phone. It's got a decent camera on it now. But sometimes it just doesn't replace an actual camera. But at the same time, I don't want those pictures just to sit on the camera. You can buy those iFi cards, but, that's an extra expense. Why haven't they done that in point and shoots yet?
I think it's just a cost, probably. But I mean, really, they could build that chip probably right into the camera.
Yeah, put that right in the programming system. I just,
I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really, really don't. But I think the first company that does is probably going to be able to have a Delta there that that would be for me if I was going into Best Buy and. What's different about these cameras? Well, we got one down here that's got Wi-Fi built in. It'll automatically offload to YouTube or Flickr or wherever you want to send the pictures to. You can put your account information in and go. I'm like, yeah, give me one of those, And, but I guess at this point we've gotten so accustomed to using our cell phones for that purpose.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I actually, in the Windows Phone 7, if you have your Facebook set up in there, you can take a picture, click one button, and send it up to Facebook.
Right.
I mean, it just happens instantly.
But you still don't get the quality out of that little hole.
No, that's right.
It's that's my big thing. But
no, I agree with you. I mean, I think in the probably next year, maybe or the year after, something like that. I would think that Wi-Fi is probably going to be built into every camera. I would think.
I just can't believe it isn't already. Hey, let's talk a little bit about cars because I know you've ordered your vehicle.
Yeah.
And when are they saying delivery date for you?
It's looking like it'll be probably the second or third week in January. is what I'm hearing
So
right now.
about the time you get back from CES, are you going to be going to CES? Do you know?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Don't know if you're
I'd
on
like to.
don't know if you're on the list or not. You gotta tell Microsoft to oh well, never mind.
No,
Um
no. I. Thanks for reminding me because I think I'm going to push for that. So
would
yeah.
love to bring Microsoft on as a sponsor for Tech Podcast for CES too. Hey,
Sure.
they're saying the Chevy Volt is stickered to get a certain amount of mileage, but people are finding out they're actually getting a different mileage level out of it. So the EPA fuel economy sticker you see on windows of a Chevy Volt looks like an Excel spreadsheet, but the key figures are 35 miles of electric range, 93 miles per gallon equivalent under electric power, and 60 miles per gallon under gas/electric power. And but there's a whole list of asterisks involved. So what are you seeing from specs on the vehicle that you're buying? And of course, tell everyone the vehicle that you're buying.
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm on the list to get a Nissan Leaf, and I am definitely going to get one here, here coming up in the next couple months here. But yeah, I think it's really odd this whole kind of EPA thing that came out last week about the Nissan Leaf and that it gets 99 miles per gallon. Just the sheer fact that the EPA has to use miles per gallon as its basis
Right.
is, I mean, for a 100% electric vehicle is just kind of stupid. I mean, it's like, it doesn't even make sense to me. I mean, I can see where they're trying to do an equivalency, but I'm not sure why that's necessary. You know, I can see it more with the Volt because the Volt does use a gas engine in there,
Right.
and the Volt does have a direct drivetrain connection between the gas powered engine and turning the wheels. So I can see an equivalency there that makes sense. But on the Nissan Leaf, to say it gets 99 miles per gallon doesn't really make any sense to me.
Now
Um,
here's the thing. It's crazy. It says I'm looking at this thing, and I'll bring it up on the screen so you can see it too. Charge time 4 hours. This is for the Chevy Volt.
yeah,
All electric. It gets 93 miles per gallon, or and it goes going to cost you $601 per year to drive it. Boy, I tell you that to me is pretty exciting. You think about just from I spend my gas bill here a month is probably 300-400 bucks.
yeah,
Gas only 37 miles per gallon or $1,300 a year, and then it goes into range 35 miles on a all electric, 379 using gas and electric. And then it goes down into charging routines. It talks about miles driven, let's say 30. The electric consumed will be 10.9 kilowatts or 4 cents per mile. Well, they need to live in Hawaii. 75 miles is 69 miles per gallon or 12.9 kilowatts per hour, 7 cents. So it all changes on based upon how far you're driving and how long you plug it in to get it full and stuff
yeah.
like that. So 10.9 kilowatt here in Hawaii, that would be $2.50 to charge the vehicle. That's what I'm assuming if I've only driven it 30 miles and I want to charge it up. So it is just nuts. All these different. I think consumers were already confused. I guess we got used to reading regular fuel economy charts. Now we're going to have to. There'll be a science in deciphering these things.
Well, I think what it needs to be based on is the kilowatt hour. I mean, how many miles can you drive on a kilowatt?
All
I think
right.
is probably what the basis needs to be on this.
Yep.
And this whole miles per gallon thing, I mean, for electric cars, just needs to go away. It doesn't. It's not even applicable anymore. Now, granted, people aren't going to really understand, how far you can travel on a kilowatt hour of power, but over time, what's the difference between having that equivalency um, versus a miles per gallon? I think if people know that they're getting an electric car, that's the metric that they need to be looking at is how how efficient is that car using that 1 kilowatt hour of electricity.
Right. Because here I think I pay 31 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yeah,
So for me, if I can go, I can go, that would be the number I want to know,
yeah,
because I want to know what it's going to cost me to charge this stupid thing when I get it back to the house at night. And
Yeah, and from what I've calculated here, as far as with the power rates here in the Seattle area, it's going to cost about $2 to get 100 miles, from the Nissan Leaf.
that's great.
So that's equivalent to probably spending on my hybrid. That's probably equivalent to spending like $9 for
Right.
gas.
So what's the Leaf's max range?
Well, they say it's going to vary a lot, really depending on how you drive the vehicle and also, how many accessories that you run. If you run heat and you run your nav system and your stereo and all those kinds of things, right?
Yep.
It's going to have some of an impact on those mileage, but around 100 miles. Now, I've heard people that have said that if they drive around in eco mode with the Nissan Leaf, that they're actually getting over 100 miles. But if you spend a lot of time driving on the freeways, you actually get a little bit less than 100 miles. So
Wow.
the car really is optimized for driving at like 35, 40 miles an hour, or less. So, you could actually probably go over 100 miles if you didn't have to drive up hills, uh, or drive probably more than 60 miles an hour, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
I could see a lot of people on the side of the road here in Honolulu looking for a charge. Now that's the question. Your tow truck, we used to bring a gallon of gas to get you down to the next. You run out of power, you're screwed.
Yeah, well, I think over time that issue is going to get really, I think, taken care of because there's going to be charging stations that are going to be installed, along all the freeways, and a lot of them will be fast charge, which means that you'll get up to, like an 80% charge in 30 minutes.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's going to be possible here, probably, within the next year, to be able to drive from here to California on in a Nissan Leaf, and it just, you have to stop every 100 miles or so to 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 charge up again. It could be a little bit of a hassle, but I think also over time, I think the batteries are going to get better, and I think these cars are going to be able to go better. I mean, even if you look at, let's say a Tesla S, their base model will get 160 miles, but you can get a model that will get 320 miles. Uh,
You know what I'm going to do, Rob? I'm going to find a company that is making a kit for the Leaf where you basically add a platform off the back of the Leaf. It basically
I
hooks
know.
to the frame, and from that, it's wide enough to put a 5,000-watt generator and a 5-gallon can of gasoline. So so you can charge your vehicle when you're stuck.
Okay.
That is see, that's how you're gonna go cross country with the Leaf. You're gonna have
Oh,
that
okay.
generator in the back, and then you're gonna run a extension cord over the top of the hood and plug this thing in and tape it in with duct tape, and then you're gonna be driving down the road. Oh, you're gonna be. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you.
Sounds an awful lot like a GM Volt.
Yeah, the government got sold a bill of goods on that one, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, they had told everybody that that thing was an electric car, but it's not.
Right.
You know,
We
it's
talk.
a hybrid. I mean, it's a higher end hybrid. I mean, it's a plug-in hybrid, I guess is what you could really call it.
Or
But
better yet, I'm going to be in a business where I'm going to have a vehicle. I'm going to have a fleet of vehicles that have nothing but generators on them, coming rescuing guys like you. They're stuck alongside the road, and then I'll say, okay, you want charge? Oh, we charge you. That'll be $150, please, for your credit card.
man, what a shark! No, but yeah, yeah. And in all seriousness, I actually do drive about 22 miles to work each
Yep.
day. So it's about 44 miles round trip for me. So on a day-to-day basis, I you know I don't foresee having any issues with this thing and
E-
being able to do everything that I
e-
want to do, short of
Except
driving.
except the day that you come home, you've had a bad day. You park the car and you forget to plug it in.
Well, then I'll just drive my Camry Hybrid the next day.
What if the
I've got
wife
it
needs
covered.
to use it? Oh man, I could just see. Why you late for work? I forgot to charge my car. Oh, that's a good excuse.
Well, and I've got to push Microsoft into putting charging stations in their parking garages.
Oh man.
That's the next thing.
And my wife actually told me she's got a minivan that we had thought we were going to have to maybe do something with earlier this year, and I'm trying to get 2 more years out of it before we sell it, and got to have at least 160,000 on the vehicle before we sell it. Can't be selling a vehicle with 120 on it. So we're looking at all the options on what we should do. Of course, the car I have is not green. It loves its gasoline, and but here in Hawaii, I could definitely think we could probably potentially buy a hybrid. But until they come out with a report that tells me that the additional costs on these things, I'm going to get my money back. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, I saw in the the little discussion forum here that there was talking about that all the power for this comes from coal,
All
and
right.
I just want to make a comment that about 80% of the electricity that comes into the Seattle market comes from hydroelectric, so which doesn't generate any CO2.
I've been trying to talk people every time someone complains about electricity here. I'm like, well, we could have a nuclear power plant, and we wouldn't have to bring in because Hawaii's power is all oil. We have to
Yeah,
bring in foreign oil. There's no coal. It's all our electricity prices are dependent upon what the market's going to do. They're trying to go green here with hydro, and they're trying to bring in solar and air, and wind, and that's obviously we're a perfect market for that. Um, but at the same time, I'm like, you put in a nuclear power plant here, you would solve all the issues. And you say nuclear power, and people just flip out. They say just in Hawaii, never, never, never. But let's be honest. Let's really be honest here. If they really want to fix the energy problem in the United States, they could fix it very quickly by going and start awarding nuclear power plant licenses again. And
yeah,
within 15 years, we could eliminate every coal-driven generated power plant in the United States if they would
yeah.
just people would get off their high horse and go nuke. You know,
Then all those coal miners wouldn't have jobs.
so what? Then we can. Personally, it's if there's a bunch of hypocrites in all honesty.
Yeah,
While nuclear waste from the power plants is nasty, and there's half shelf life of 10,000 years. We spent billions of dollars digging out a mountain that is empty. We're not even using it to put the nuclear storage waste. There's enough storage in that facility where we could the hell with it. Shoot the stuff into space, deposit it on the moon or something. If they're really worried about it, um, where there's a will, there's a way. But people are going, oh, you're not green. I could care less. I don't like paying 30 cents a kilowatt hour. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. I mean, I agree. We could fix our power problems pretty quickly. You know, so I guess what we just need to do is have a spaceship that launches that nuclear fuel, that spent nuclear fuel out into space. We can start polluting space with
or just
our
better yet, send it.
fuel.
Trajectory it towards the sun. And the sun will dispose of it. Don't worry.
That's true.
Actually add to the stockpile. It needs a little energy. Be about a millisecond worth of energy for the sun. So,
It's actually not a bad idea, actually.
not a bad idea. That's a patent that one.
Yeah, you should.
But I don't necessarily want to be downrange from the launch site on this thing, though.
No, that's true.
So you launch it from the equator. It goes in the ocean. You go dig it out and try again. So,
So we would save a lot of miners from being trapped in the
well,
coal mine.
that's
So
true. That's true.
Jeff points out.
Well, Rob, we went about an hour and 20 here, so I'm gonna wrap this
Oh my
thing up.
goodness!
Yeah. And
Wow.
started off kind of rough here, and of course, we had one of our guests had a family emergency, and I hope his grandmother's doing okay. And be back in the saddle here. I'm gonna if everything goes right, I'm doing my 24-hour podcast on December 18th. So mark that on your calendar, Rob, because we'll definitely want to set
Well, you already,
aside.
yeah, I think you already sent me an invitation already.
Okay, so we just
And actually, it's on the 17th, I think.
no, is it? Did I say the 17th? Well, that was dumb.
Well,
Uh,
you know, I think the 24-hour podcast, I think, probably spans 2 days.
yeah, it starts on a Saturday, so 18th is a Saturday. So
Oh, is it?
yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
I
So it was probably a Saturday then.
yeah, I actually think I'm going to be in California 14th, 15th, 16th, fly back the 17th. That should be a fun 24-hour podcast after flying. Of course, I'm not going to the East Coast, so I won't be so whacked on time zone stuff. But I think we're going to be doing the podcast awards the same day like we did last year, double that up with the awards ceremony. I got a spreadsheet here in front of me from all of our reviewers. I'm going through the list of um, I've got 16 more categories to check. So I got a few hours worth of work on that. Meeting with the CES team here in about another 40 minutes or so, and we're going to be talking about the show. Do you want to know who made the slate, Rob, for podcast awards?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sorry, you have to tune in tomorrow. So
Oh,
yeah, I think 9 p.m. Eastern is the time I'm planning to do the slate announcement. Usually I have it all prettied up. I've got it all set in spreadsheet, and cross it over into, lower thirds. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do all that this time. I'm gonna run out of time before, and I got to get all this data to the guy that actually pumps it into the system too. So it's a bit. Believe it or not, it's gonna be a very interesting announcement. I'm seeing some names here I've never seen before. Shows I'm not familiar with that have some amazing. We had over 1 million people submit nominations this time,
wow, that's great.
and that made for the database was so big we had to take um, sections out of the database to make it just
Hmm.
viable to use. But I'm going to tell you, there's some shows out there I've never heard of before that were like, whoa. And I think people will be surprised about the lineup. But anyway, I'm talking too much already. So
And I'd say the podcasts are alive and well.
they are definitely
Is
are. If we had
any issue with that?
considering we had a million, we tracked 1 million unique IPs that came in to the website that actually, some of them only submitted one entry, and some did all 22. But just that we had 1 million uniques completely blew me. It was actually over 57,000 or something like that. So, okay, Rob, thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll see you. We'll see you next go around. Hopefully, we do this next Saturday if you're available.
Okay, terrific.
All right,
All right.
and everyone that hung out with us, thanks for coming out today. And I have
Yeah.
some more work to do on camera alignment stuff. So, until next time,
Thanks
everyone.
again. Yep.
Everyone, take